Wormon, I saw Justice League Snyder Cut, and now Godzilla's coming out, and I didn't finish my video, and I gotta review both, and you're gonna have to edit. Or review one. I took a shower and I'm still wet. This isn't a sponsor. Fucking... I don't know if I even know how to do these, because I haven't talked to a camera when I'm not streaming in a long time. I saw Justice League Snyder Cut, and memes about it being not widescreen, standard. And I went in guarded because I was kind of worried, based on how the DCEU's been going, and kind of not a big fan of how it started. Man of Steel was okay. A little dark. Batman v Superman was pretty shaky and very dark. It had a poopy ending. Because every time people fight, they gotta unite against something. This isn't a review about them, it's a review about them. And there's movies that Snyder, did I say Whedon before? I don't fucking know. Snyder oversaw that were kind of poopy, because he was like the Kevin Feige, I think, of the DCEU. And, those are a little rough. Wonder Woman 2. Aquaman was pretty okay. So I went into this kind of with muted hope. Some sensible expectations. I was ready for anything, I guess. I always kind of figured like this cut existed too. Like I knew people were talking about it, and there were others poo-pooing them, saying, no, that's not real, it's never gonna happen. Like, motherfucker, we live in a world where a studio got bullied into making Sonic look better. There's all kinds of weird shit that's happened. Like, why was it so hard to believe the Snyder Cut existed and could happen? Like, I knew the minute they fucking started talking about it, we were gonna see it someday. I just had a feeling, and also it's not like it was... Clearly it wasn't impossible. A DC movie getting recut and released? That's never happened before. It's impossible. So anyway, yeah, it existed, and I went in thinking this might be dookie, and you know what? It wasn't. It was good. It was pretty good. It's way better than his other outings, I think, in the DCEU and in superhero stuff in general. Because, I mean, Watchmen, more like hard Watchmen. I thought with like all the announcements about who was being hired and brought in and all the new CGI stuff that the movie was being like remade practically with like maybe half of the original footage at best. But no, that was all for a poopy little epilogue they did. Because they kept announcing who was going to be in the Snyder Cut, and it became a meme, like who they signed on to do it. And it started sounding ridiculous, but no, the movie is actually, it ended up feeling like the original, the poopy one that came out, minus Joss Whedon's parts. Which, I would like to say, that A, this fucking video is already way longer than I want it to be. It's like, it's 5 minutes! I don't like editing anymore. I lost my point. What the fuck was my point? Right, I think A was this is gonna be long, and B, I don't blame Joss Whedon at all for like the Joss Whedon cut in terms of how it ended up, because the studio clearly was like, let's hire the Avengers director who did the first 2 movies, and he can make this movie like the Avengers, because there were reports that like the original was unwatchable, and I think a lot of that is because the director, or WB, was like, they wanted Avengers, and it's not what this was. It's not what any of the movies leading up to it were like, but Avengers was fucking making Disney all the money the world has to offer, so they kind of brought in an Avengers director and said, make this into that, pretty much. You could tell that's kind of what they wanted, and while I liked the representation of Superman, because he was all kind of like more cheerful and bright, they fucking did that to Batman too, and they made him a mess. They made the whole movie a mess. Batman was making dumb quips out of nowhere. They really toned him up, toned his Batmanness down. But yeah, like that was the studio's involvement. Oh, my butt itches. I mean, yeah, he signed on to do it and fucking did it anyway. And at some point, he had to know he was making a mess. But I have a feeling he signed a contract and was like, well, fuck. I have to finish this now, and it's a shit show. But yeah, like, the original actually felt like that movie, just the tone stayed the same. People were more serious. Aquaman wasn't a Thor ripoff. Because it seemed like they really wanted him to be more like Thor, like one of his drinking buddies or something. Batman, obviously, they made way more humorous. Like, they wanted him to be the Iron Man or something. That made me sound really old. I meant the Iron Man of that movie. Shut up! But yeah, like, Batman is a lot more like Batman. Ben Affleck is still... Did I say that right? He's still wooden as fuck. I forgot to set up my microphone, Charmy! I just remembered that. Anyway, Ben Affleck is kind of wooden still. I don't think he has the greatest range for the role, but he was a serviceable Batman, and it was a lot better when he was being more serious most of the time. Like, there were jokes in there, here and there, but they were sparing, and he was a lot more consistent. And the movie was a lot more consistent. The tone didn't, like, fucking just make random humorous changes. It was kind of just Snyder's dark tone. And they do a lot more to establish things, like origins for people. Cyborg, they actually get into more and give him more of a role in the movie. They make splitting the mother boxes a psychological thing for him. And the mother boxes try to, like, manipulate him into not splitting them back up. And you see, like, Barry Allen saving Iris in a cool, a little drawn-out scene where she's in a car crash and he saves her and he pockets some weenies. And he's, like, job hunting and stuff. And they establish, like, why the mother boxes are suddenly active after Superman's death. It is a really drawn-out segment where Superman's death cry sends out, like, sound waves that they pick up. This thing's got a big balls! But yeah, the mother boxes pick up his death cry and they start activating because they know he's dead. And they were actually afraid of him, which was cool. Because Superman's fucking powerful. And they knew with him around, they weren't gonna be able to summon Darkseid's forces or Steppenwolf or anything. So, with him gone, they wake up and are like, okay, bring Steppenwolf. And they make Steppenwolf, on an unrelated note. I saw a video call him Stephen Wolf, and I just can't get that out of my head. Anyway, they established Steppenwolf a bit more. I kind of wish they'd done it even more. But apparently he tried to, like, invade something for himself or something? I forget. Good review! And Darkseid banishes him for a long time and wants him to take a lot of planets. Like, he demands 50,000 more planets after Earth be conquered, which that also helps establish that Darkseid is a very serious threat, because 50,000 planets is, like, nothing to him and his empire. So they did a really good job there, too. But yeah, Steppenwolf gets fleshed out more. He's not just some generic pale dude that's really tall that's just there for Darkseid. He's a big beastly pale thing. His redesign was a lot better, because it also helped make him less generic. The armor, in some ways, was more generic, because it was just like shiny rainbowy shit, but it also was like spiky and moving like all the time. And it was cool. And Superman bullied him. But yeah, Steppenwolf got fleshed out more. Was the point. He's like desperate to please Darkseid and Desaad and get back to the Empire, and he discovers on accident in like some flashback thing that the anti-life equation is on Earth. And I joked about Steppenwolf being bullied, but it wasn't as big of a deal in this movie. He still went down fucking easily against Superman, but they do more to establish that Superman is like hella strong and nobody wanted to go there while he was around. And the movie, like the tone and everything, like the movie's improved enough to where it's not nearly as big of a deal. It's still annoying that Steppenwolf couldn't really take the Justice League, but I mean, the movie was good, so that made that little point less bad. Whereas the original was a fucking mess, so it's like, why did we watch this? Nothing was established. He shows up, they wake Superman up in like 5 minutes, and Superman just fucking beats the crap out of him. And then they have his own minions kill him. Which that does not happen in this, because the fucking parademons don't, like, they're like, oh, Steppenwolf's afraid now, so they're gonna kill him. Like, no, he gets a way cooler execution. Like, Superman fucking lasers one of his ear things off and still punches the shit out of him. But Aquaman shanks him from behind, lifts him up. Superman, like, punches the fuck out of him to go back into a boom tube that Darkseid is looking in through. And Wonder Woman just cuts his fucking head off. And then Darkseid, the head and the body go through, and the head rolls over to Darkseid, and he just steps on it. He's like, well, piece of shit. Die. And getting into his base was a lot better. Like, it was more of a hassle for Batman. You see him, like, having to fight parademons more. He shoots them with a gun and fights them a bunch more and gets on one of their turrets, which I don't remember if he did that in the theatrical one, because I watched that actually a couple months ago. I don't remember him doing as much, but he definitely did more in this. They focus on the battle to get in more, and the heroes fighting the parademons more before they even get to Steppenwolf. A lot of lines get changed too. I kind of miss when Cyborg goes, "Ride isn't over yet, big man," and Aquaman just says, "My man." I hate that line. But instead, Cyborg just says, "You're welcome," because they kind of make him more of a dick. He doesn't. It's not a huge shift, but it's a little shift into dickhood. And Aquaman is definitely more of a dingus, but they make a point to show he still cares about things, because Flash is like, "I didn't think you cared about this kind of stuff," when they were talking about, like, their well-being and whatever. And he's like, "I never said that." Then there's actually a funny moment. What is this tangent? I'm not even looking at my outline. Fuck it! It was a moment where Flash, like, when they're trying to fight Superman, after reviving him, Flash is accidentally, like, sent into Aquaman, and Aquaman just, like, fucking glares at him afterwards when, like, everything's calmed and settled down. They're both, like, embedded into stone steps, and Aquaman just looks over and, like, points, and he looks pissed. It was fun. I kind of miss the happier Aquaman, but this one was still cool. And the happier one just seemed like they saw Thor Ragnarok and were like, "Lighten our Aqua Dude up. Thor's not an Aqua Dude. What the fuck did I even mean by that?" And the final part was, I already mentioned how Cyborg had, he had a bigger part in separating the boxes and it messing with him. He logs into the fucking merged mother boxes to kind of begin the process to separate them, and he sees his family and, like, himself without cyborg power thing. He sees Meet him, and they're trying to tell him to just let the unity happen and they can all be back together. So he's in there and he's like, "Fuck that now," and he starts the process of separating the boxes, and it fails. Fucking Superman shows up, he still gets in between them after he's done fucking up Steppenwolf, and he's trying to pull the boxes apart, and they blow up and, like, obliterate everything. Everyone fucking dies. I guess even Superman did. Like, the unification, unity, whatever, it's a pretty big deal. The world just kind of gets erased, and it's a wasteland, and they needed Flash to help charge Cyborg to help separate the boxes. And earlier in the movie, Flash is told by his dad that he can make his own future, you know, "Don't worry about me, I'm in prison, go do your thing." And Flash, he had run back to build up a big charge, I don't know if I said that. He's back there, the world blows up, and he's like, "Fuck! Guess it failed, but I can make my own future." Literally. And he just starts running at the speed of light. Earlier in the movie he established doing that makes time and everything get fucky around him. So he uses that to his advantage and starts running, like, beyond the speed of light. And he's running up. He builds up a huge charge. Time's, like, reversing as he's going forward somehow. And then he touches Cyborg and charges him. After the running whatever resurrected him, like, it just literally kind of reset everything slowly around him, and he reached Cyborg, charged him, and they separated things. It was cool. Like, the box separation was a much bigger deal, and at one point they failed to do it until Flash kind of said, "No, redo." Supposedly that might be the Flashpoint. I don't know. Yeah, in general, like, the movie just looked better. I think the CGI was kind of more hastily done. Because even though Steppenwolf in some ways looked more generic because of his design, because it was like, almost looked like 80s armor. It's hard to explain. It's like glass mirror shards all over him. So it kind of looked generic just because of that. But, like, his design was kind of more beastly. fucking train! I gotta stop this anyway. I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. I forgot to actually, that train was long. I think I was talking about Steppenwolf. And the CGI looking better. And things looking less generic. I don't remember if I covered anything after saying it looked like Steppenwolf was covered in mirror shards, which was kind of 80s looking-ish. I don't know. Reminds me of Rob Liefeld things. But the armor moved around and was pretty cool and had a rainbowy tint, and he was better in general. And Superman wore his black suit. Don't know why, he just did. I don't know if it was in like mourning for his family that had passed, because he was remembering everybody. Like both of his dads, he was remembering their quotes. And maybe because he had just come back from death. But he had the black suit. And he still does the hand dodge thing, slowly, but without mustache, CGI face. Actually, I don't think that scene looked as bad. But they don't show his face as much, he just kind of does the dodge and then it cuts. And the epilogue, even though I kind of hated it overall, I liked Deathstroke in it. And it was kind of cool seeing Batman angrier and more pissed off, even threatening to kill the Joker, and it seeming like he meant it. But like you see an after-credits scene with Deathstroke and Lex Luthor, which was poopy. But Deathstroke in there is a jerk and is hunting down Batman. And then immediately after there's this future epilogue thing. And he's just cool with him. Which was cool. I don't know, it was cool to see. Seemed like army buddies. Why is that on me? Why is that on my list? But yeah, in terms of the movie was more consistent and just things looked better and it fit better with the previous movies. Doesn't seem to have had much studio interference. And even though it's 4 hours, it didn't really feel like it. I mean, I was tired and I watched it, and it felt like the same movie, but better. Which is really weird that it felt like the same movie. Like, that first movie was a mess, and when I got done watching it, I just felt like I hadn't seen anything. Because it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything. But this felt like that minus that feeling. Somehow the same, but different. Like, an alternate universe version of it, where it didn't get shit on. Which, like I said, it really seemed like this movie was about to be just a complete overhaul and something else. But no, it was the movie that I think Zack Snyder intended. I don't think this was Lucas bullshit. I think this was what it was supposed to be. Some stuff might have been reshot or changed. I know Darkseid was the one that got fought by, like, the gods and stuff in the past. And it was largely, like, the same fight, more or less. But with him instead of Steppenwolf. I think that kind of did better to establish him trying to find the anti-life equation, him trying to, like, come back to Earth and get it. But yeah, I think my point was overall, it was good. Good movie. Now I'm gonna tear it to fucking pieces.